Welcome to another episode of the Wet Dreams podcast. I'm your host, Jose Gonzalez. I'm a sex therapist and a mental health counselor.
I'm Dr. Brad Hinman. I'm also a sex therapist and mental health counselor.
Today, we are talking about high value man. I think it's a big thing in social media and in the media and in online and stuff like that. This idea of a high value man. And today's topic is why high value men still feel empty after sex. So there's this big topic, the high value man, and also like alpha males versus beta males, like being in charge and stuff like that. And actually there was this, I was watching this documentary, part of it, I haven't finished it yet, but this documentary on Netflix is this documentarian, Louis Theroux or whatever. He interviews some of these guys in these spaces. I don't know if you've heard of like the red pill guys. It's kind of similar, like high value man, alpha, women are subservient basically. And one guy was talking about how their partner knows that he sleeps with other women, is one way monogamy. She's monogamous, but he's not. And even said like, she packs my condoms when I go out and go on trips, and she like packs them so when I go and sleep with other women. So they're not in a relationship anymore, by the way, which is funny. But anyways,
shocker.
So that's been going on a lot right now. There's that documentary. We should check it out sometime. But this idea of the high value man, and it struck me because it's like, some of these values necessarily aren't the worst, or they just become skewed, like this idea of men bringing value and all that stuff. But they end up being turned into something totally different and something totally misogynistic, basically. And it's kind of this like answer to feminism that's going on. So anyways, yeah, I just thought we'd talk about it. I think the interesting thing is that it's kind of the same guys that we talk to, kind of, I feel like, but it's like these two divergent paths of like, you can be turned into incel kind of red pill, or like our way is better, basically. But yeah, I'll have a lot of thoughts in my mind, but first I think we should probably define it, the high value man. And I did some Googling, but I think it seems like it's like varies, right? I think this so there's this guy named Samuel, I forget his first name. He's Kevin Samuel. The way he defined it was like, high value man is someone that making money is important, earning a minimum of 10K per month, consistent success, maintaining 100K yearly for 3 to 5 years, group acceptance, being recognized by other high value men, whatever that means. Strong network, don't be a lone wolf. Surround yourself with people who share a growth mindset. Visibility, have a career that people understand or recognize. Utility, help other people out, whether that's your family, friends, or company. And then there's other things that kind of end up coming out too, like physical well-being. You have to be in shape, smell good, dress well. Emotional intelligence, it's kind of in his definition, but it's not actually really ever talked about in other ones that I've seen. Or the emotions part is a female thing that happens. So alpha men and high value men don't get emotional, apparently. Assertiveness, taking charge, and sense of humor. That's again varies. So that's his definition.
Did you say 100,000?
100,000.
So like
for 3 to 5 years, making sure to maintain that for 3 to 5 years.
So I already lost.
But 10K a month. I'm a mid to low value man. Right. And that's I don't know, probably on the low end, or at least how they portray it.
The low end of high value.
Yeah. Right.
Tier 1. Yeah, tier 1.
Tier 1. That's how they portray it. It's like, and you guys, these guys that have Lamborghinis and Bugattis and whatever, like traveling all the time, like that's part of this appeal. What are your initial thoughts about high value. Part of this is educating you to the internet, like, apparently, you know what I mean?
I think that, since you asked, that people who seek to be a high value man need to, I guess, ask themselves, like, are you really seeking affirmation and validation from other people? And if you do that, like, if you want affirmation and validation, that's wonderful. But there are other ways to get it other than striving for these arbitrary rules that somebody else makes for your life. Right? It's, I mean, I think some of the things that you said, I think are good.
Emotional intelligence, having a strong network.
Yeah,
I think that's good. That was a good one, I thought.
Having $100,000.
$100,000. Sure,
that'd be great. But again, that's an arbitrary rule. Like, $100,000 in New York City isn't going to get you very far.
Right.
$100,000 in rural Southwest Michigan is going to get you further.
Yes.
So again, that's an arbitrary rule.
Right.
I think an apartment in New York City, probably a 1-bedroom apartment in New York City, is probably $100,000 a year.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, and it's, again, that's this thing gets taken into totally different directions of, like, it gets skewed into, okay, your value comes from sleeping with a ton of women. Like, you know, somebody clip they showed, like, somebody was saying, like, I'm up to 2,000 women that I've slept with. I'm like, damn, that's a lot. Like, that's like your job. But anyways,
yeah,
you know, that's like desirable. But this over here, it's, I mean, that plus, again, the money. It usually ends up being the money, looks, sleeping with women, and controlling a relationship. That kind of ends up being, you know, the external validation type thing.
Yeah, and, like, at what cost? Right? Like, you're to sleep with that volume of people. I would assume that there's not an emotional connection with each one of those people. Right? So what are you giving away to get those things?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think, again, the the thing that struck me was, again, this is the same type of group. So the one thing they said, which I didn't fully agree with, but it's funny because it was kind of similar to some things we've said in some ways. Like, they were talking to the one guy, and I don't remember his name, and then 2 of his fans happened to go there, and, like, while they were filming for the documentary, and they were like, yeah, he's one of my idols or whatever. And then the documentarian asked those 2 fans, like, oh, why do you like him so much? And the response was like, oh, because as men, you're born in this world without any value, and you have to create value, which is what you bring to the table, the money you bring, the women you have, whatever, like, and that's all you have. Whereas females, because of their beauty, they have inherent value, or because you know, the guy was like, oh, you don't see men being flown out places by rich people, or you know, whatever, like, going on a yacht party because they look good. Like, that's women have that, you know. Anyway, so it's interesting because we have said something to the degree of, there's a certain point where value for men changes to kind of what they have to do, and their inherent value is different. But it's maybe but is that on steroids, you know? Like,
right,
that's
right.
Like a left turn on what kind of the stuff that we've said, you know?
Yeah. I think, again, like, as you keep talking, like, I'm like, these are arbitrary rules that somebody's just making up. Like, it doesn't, those things, what if somebody thinks being high value is helping people and you know, making the world a better place and a cleaner planet, and like, why aren't those high value things?
Right. Why do you think that message, not the one of helping people. Whatever. The other one that I'm talking about, of looks and money and all that. Why do you think that is so popular with the guys in range? You know what I mean?
What I really think is the reason is because they get affirmation for that, right? That's an easy way for people to be like, oh, look at your muscles, you know, or oh, you know, you have a Rolex on, or whatever the most popular thing is now, right?
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Like, because you can see monetary value in items, you know, like the car they drive, and then you're going to get compliments for that. And so I think that people strive for that because they get affirmation and validation. I think men are starved for affirmation and validation and meaning. And that's an easy way for them to get it.
Yeah, makes sense. And same with sexually. It gives you that dopamine hit or whatever, or the ego reinforcement of like, oh, I can bag that girl, as they say, as the kids say. You know, I can get that girl, and that woman was interested in me, and I can get anyone that I want. Like, it's that ego kind of like slash the dopamine hit that you get from that. Same reason that our guys have issues with porn, is that same kind of thing. But
well, and I also would like, if a high value man were here and I was talking to him, not that you're not, you're high value to me.
I'm offended. Right? You're high value to me. I appreciate that. You're high value to me.
Like, if one were here, I would be asking, like, so you're trying to bag all these women, right, and sleep with thousands of people, and so each one of those girls are supposed to be a virgin, apparently,
right? I mean,
right?
That's part of the,
like, are you wanting, like, do you count that as high value if you sleep with somebody who slept with as many men as you have slept with women?
Right.
I don't think that that's
well, they would argue that men and women are different, and like men's biological need is to have sex, and I don't know. I don't actually know the full argument, but I've heard that, like, no, it's different for men, like, or what's the metaphor I've heard was like, if you have a bad, what is it? If you have a lock that any key can open, it's a bad lock. But if you have a key that can open any lock, it's a master key or something.
Okay, buddy.
I mean, flawless logic, you know.
I think if you have a key, if you have a key that opens every lock, then both the key and the lock is worthless.
Right. That's true. Oh, that's funny. Anyways, yeah, but right, it's like, it's a double standard kind of thing. And again, it's not real. Again, that's like the reason that's glorified. It's not real. They don't have meaningful connections with these 1,000 women that they've had some meaningful connections, but generally you're not having a meaningful connection. You have that spike of dopamine, you feel good about yourself for a second, and then you come back to wherever you were before or lower.
Right. And then I think it makes it worse, right? Or lower, right? It because yes, you get a high from that. Because you and I have both met with lots of men who've had lots of sex, right? And lots of variations of sex.
Yeah.
Both sex with themselves and sex with other people.
Yep.
And so, and we can both attest that these are not the most fulfilled and trying to think of a different word other than high value.
Right.
Like, these are probably not people who would even describe themselves as being having it all together and worthy of adoration and adulation, right? They're it creates, I feel, a sense of worthlessness in them when their sole pursuit of, or one of their only pursuits, is sex or sexual connection or release, really is what it is,
right?
that fulfills you for 15 or 20 minutes and then leaves you feeling really empty and alone and isolated to the point of thinking about suicide. Right. And so it can be a trap, right? It can be a trap to kind of immerse yourself into that line of thinking. And if you're pursuing something that ultimately is not fulfilling for you, then I would question, what is your motivation for pursuing that?
Right. I mean,
and can you get that motivation from somewhere else?
Somewhere else, right? In a healthier way that's actually going to fulfill you.
Yes.
Or going to fulfill you for longer than 2 hours, whatever, you know? Right. So, I mean, it's the same. It goes back to all the other things we've talked about too. Is the same reason that even guys in relationships value sex so much and think like, oh, it's just because I want sex more. My partner doesn't want sex more and I want sex more. That's what it is. If I only had sex more, then this other issue, porn. I've had somebody say it today. Like if I had, maybe if he was reasonable about it, but maybe if I had sex more, it would have helped. And he's like, I don't know. But so I was like, it might have helped a bit, but the issue was still there, whatever the issue was, like porn. It's that same thing. Like there's this value put on sex and or that sexual validation or whatever, like that men generally do a lot of, you know? And I think that's speaking towards that. And that's the thing that draws the people in of like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, I like to have sex anyways or whatever. So it's just that I have to do it more. I have to do it with a bunch of people or do whatever, you know, do it confidently. So it's like, there's a huge emphasis with guys.
Well, and I think that there's a huge component of that is that, like, another challenge that I issue to the people who come to see me is it really sex that you're after? Like, sex is great, sex feels good, yep, I get it. But is it really sex that you're after, or is it a feeling of connection? And again, validation, feeling wanted, feeling loved. Is that really what you're after? Because I repeat this so often, I'm sure people are sick of hearing it, that like we stop touching boys at around age 10 or 11, and then the only physical touch that they get is sexual. Right? That's also around the age that boys hit puberty. And so they stop being touched. They stop, people stop wrestling with them. People stop hugging them and kissing them and all that kind of stuff. And of course, there's huge variation in that because we're talking about humans.
Yep.
But generally speaking, kind of an average is around age 10 or 11. And so then they put all of their, if you love me, you have sex with me. And if you're not having sex with me, then you don't love me. Right? That kind of becomes fused in the male brain. And so is it really sex that you're after, or is it love? Right? A feeling of I'm worthy and I'm valuable, and somebody wants to be around me, and the only way that I get that is through sex. It's the only permissible way. Right? Because it's not considered manly for a man to come up to someone and say, can I have a hug? I'm feeling low. Right?
Right, for sure.
We don't allow that in this society.
Yep.
We should, but we don't allow it. Right? Especially from another male, right? Although that is in more recent generations, that's like male on male touch, non-sexual physical touch between males is becoming more common and more acceptable. But it's still centered. The main way that men get it is through sex, right? And so I challenge the people who come to me for a sexual addiction. I don't think it's really sex, because biologically you probably don't need to ejaculate more than once every other day or more than once a day.
Right.
But we both have had clients that ejaculate 7 or 8 times a day.
Right.
Right. And so I'm like, no, that's not a
biological need.
You're seeking affirmation and validation. And then because you get it from an empty source where there's no connection, these porn stars do not care about you. Because you're getting it from an empty source, then 20 minutes later you need it again.
Right. Or these high value men that you listen to on YouTube don't care about you either.
Right. These
And
people
actually,
are
they profit on
Yes.
you as well in
Yes.
the same way that other OnlyFans, porn model, whatever, like profit off of the consumer. You're the consumer. They don't care about you as being a man and being an actualized man. No, hell no.
And actually, they care more if you're not, because then they
Yes.
earn more money from
Right.
you. Right. So yeah, they don't care about you either.
Yep. It's a ruse. But I think it's like that systemic issue, like we've talked about plenty of times, like that lack of non-sexual touch, intimate touch with younger boys or whatever. I think that's really in my mind, the systemic whole thing of all of this. It's like, again, in some ways, I can see why they say that. Like, men don't have value. Like, yeah, sure. I think I can semi agree with that, in the sense of like your value tends to come from when you produce. Like at a certain age, you're viewed differently, I think, as a man. But again, it's not to that level. And I see it. I mean, I see it with my son, and I try to be as aware as possible. He just turned 10, which is fucking crazy, but
Wow.
it's a whole side note.
Yeah.
Makes me feel old. I'm an old value man. Anyways, but I even see with him, and I'm affectionate with him, and I touch him a good deal, and I try to be intentional, partially because we say it on our podcast.
Yes.
So I'm like, no, I gotta hug him more. And even still, I find myself like kind of being hard on him, or being like, why did you do that? Or like, you should have thought about that, or something like that. I know I don't do. Mind you, my daughter's a little younger. She's 7, but still, that I know I don't do with her, that I'm not as hard on her with stuff. I can still see a little bit of a difference of like, come on, bro, what are you doing? That I'm a little lighter on her. So it's interesting. It's just pervasive, this idea of like masculinity, and this idea of value. It's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
A lot of our value is tied for males in like, what do we do for a living? How much money we make, right? A lot of
what can you fix around the house?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Being able to fix things, change a tire. Right. And so it is kind of societal and cultural. Like there's norms that kind of feed into that. But I also think part of the dynamic for you is often a child of the same gender as that parent. They tend to be harder on that
sure
child.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Because I've seen that in lots of derivations too. And so, and also, even if the personalities are similar, which I think
you know that.
Yes.
You know that we're similar. Yeah, because it's the same kind of things as me, like that I'm hard on myself or whatever. Yeah,
correct.
For sure.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yes. Yep. I got you.
It's almost like, well, I see the imperfections in him because he's like me, and so I'm going to stamp that out, right? Like I'm gonna
get it
crush
early.
it. Yes, before he turns out like me.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
on a podcast talking about high value men. not earning $100,000.
So when I see clients that plays out in, I always challenge them, and I'm like, that's one way to do it, right? Is to crush that, what you see in him. But also another way is you can tell what he's thinking and what he's probably struggling with as well, right? Because it's similar to yours. And so wouldn't or shouldn't it create more compassion in you for that child, because you know more what they're thinking?
Yes.
Where your daughter is more like your wife, right? So then you're kinder to her,
right?
because you also love her.
Otherwise, I get in trouble. No, just kidding. Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. There's like a lot of dynamics going on all at once.
That's why I have 2 kids of the same. I have 2 boys, but they're still very different. My kids are very different from each other. They're only 19 months apart, but they're very different. They're very close now. They're very good friends.
Yeah.
But they're because one takes after me and the other one takes after my wife's side of the family.
Yeah.
Although he's also exactly like one of my brothers. But anyway,
that's funny.
I don't think my brother listens to the podcast. So.
He's good. He's good. Yeah. Probably not.
I doubt it. He certainly can.
No,
I doubt
knowing
it.
your brother.
Yeah.
Knowing your family. For sure. Yeah. Right. So there's this idea of like performance, and like I think that's a big root of it, of like being able to perform and to create and produce, and like as men, masculine, like that's what's desirable and what society deems as desirable, you know.
Well, I'm reading here that a high value man rarely emerges as lone wolves, because basically you guys have been talking about a high value man just being by themselves, but using this little definition, how would you kind of, because it shows here that men are often shaped by their relationships with other quote unquote successful individuals, high level networks, and sometimes professional mentorship. So how would you kind of help these men know if they're actually talking to other good quote unquote successful high value men?
That's a tough one. Yeah, again, I think that's like, go ahead. What were you going to say? I didn't really have anything.
My thought hearing that is, what are you using to judge or to get the concept of a high value man, right?
Yes.
To me, it's for me to judge a man as being a high value man is their joy in their life. Are they happy? Are they happy doing what they're doing? Right. There are many people who earn much more than $100,000 a year, who are not happy doing what they're doing.
For sure.
And I see people all the time on these, the YouTube stars, where they walk away from these high paying jobs to build a 1-room cabin in the middle of Alaska, right? And forage for mushrooms and shoot birds all day long to eat, right? Or catch fish, right? And that they're not earning 100. Well, they might be from YouTube, but
right? Yeah, just in a different way.
They probably are getting.
Yeah.
So anyway, but is that okay? Yeah. So even if they are earning the same amount of money,
yes,
they're happier, right? So to me, that would be a judge for me personally, to find another high value man to be a mentor to me. Would be like, are you happy doing what you're doing? Do you feel fulfilled in your life? Because that constant grind of always chasing but never achieving this high value man status is very stressful, and you're going to be releasing cortisol and not dopamine. Dopamine, your brain loves dopamine and it hates cortisol. And so this constant stress of chasing this label, but not ever being able to achieve that label, is not going to make you happy, and you're going to be miserable. And why would I want to be mentored by somebody who's miserable?
Right.
So that's what I thought when you read that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think lately I feel like I've had a fair amount of clients that are in this archetype of like driven, high standards with, I mean, they have like issues with porn or whatever, but that very thing that you like, they're grinders and they're like going and going, but then they're not satisfied no matter where they are or whatever, I think this is interesting. And I'm always telling most of my clients, but those especially, I'm like, I don't think the answer is to not be driven. Like, if your personality is to achieve, or if your personality is to push yourself or whatever, like, cool. I'm not saying take that away, but can you do it in a range that's healthy, or in a range that's not going to make you act out in these crazy ways in order to keep yourself driven and keep yourself on your toes, but you're doing this on the side? Or are you living an integrated life where you're one person all the time, and you're happy with who you are, your values, and you're acting, and you have emotional intelligence, and you have one life? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, for sure, be driven, for sure, but also be happy with on the way there. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's my point, right? Because I've also talked to these guys who are probably buying into this mindset of the high value man.
Yeah.
They're like, I want to retire by the time I'm 35. Okay, that's great. You must be driven to achieve that goal. But in essence, you're trying to retire at a third of, yes, 35 would be half of 70, but really it's a third of your working life, because for the first 18 years, you're really not earning much money.
Right.
Right. And so you're wanting to retire in a third of your working life, then you have to work 3 times as hard. Or win the lottery or be a YouTube star.
Right.
Right. And so that's great if I'm all for like being driven, if that's what's going to bring you joy, but chances are it's probably not
right
bring you joy.
Right. Right.
If you achieve it, sure, it will.
Or does it also, when you get into a relationship, how does that change it? I mean, that's a couple of my guys, like them by themselves. Cool. They're fine. Like they can work whatever they want to work, but then them in a relationship, then that poses an issue, which is, but if you want the relationship, then that has to change. Something has to give. Like you can't just be that and be in a relationship and then be your partner's unhappy or you're unhappy because she's unhappy, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that happens often too. Like the relationship comes in and you're like, now you have to readjust.
Yep. I've heard both men and women say that their partners are cheating on them with their job, not with somebody at their job.
Yes, just the job itself.
The job is the other person, right?
Definitely. Yep. So I think that's, along with the performance part, is this idea of like the disconnection from the self kind of thing, like not knowing themselves or knowing themselves to some degree. And like, I think where in my mind, again, what defines a high value man is emotional intelligence. Do you know yourself well enough, and are you happy with yourself and your values that you have? You know what I mean? To me, that's so I guess it's like who's the high value man that you're looking towards is the answer to that one.
Yes.
That question,
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. What would you say to these guys, like, if they're looking for not inspiration, whatever, you know what I mean? Guidance, if you will, or what would be your words to them?
I have several. Like one is, what is it that you really want? Right? What is it that you're really after? What is your goal? Right? So if being a high value man is your goal, like what is it about that that's appealing to you? What is it? Is it the status? Is it the, like I said before, the adoration and adulation? Is it respect? That's another thing that that men seem to crave in today's society, is respect. But sometimes we act in disrespectful or unrespectable ways, right?
Yeah.
If that's it, I don't think that's a word, but you know what I mean.
Sounds good to me.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
But we crave respect, but we act in ways that are not respectable.
Yes.
But we still want respect, right? So then we demand it with a loud voice and stomping our feet, right? And so from our children and from our spouse and whatever. So anyway, first question, what is it that you really want? And second question is, attaining or seeking after this goal, is that the only way to get that? Or are there other ways to get that? Right? That might bring you more joy. And so I don't know if people don't like when I use the word joy, happiness or fulfillment, or you can put
that's
whatever word
feminine,
you want. Right? I guess
joy is gay.
Joy is not a high value word, but it's short. It's easy to say.
Yeah, but it's true.
Right? Is there a different way for you to get that? Right? And then I guess a third concept is, are you compromising? What are you compromising to get that goal? And are you okay with compromising whatever it is that you're compromising? Like you said earlier, to retire at age 35 and then to be in a relationship, those two things might not work well together. So are you okay compromising being in a relationship and a fulfilling relationship to be able to achieve your financial goals?
Right. Yep, exactly. When and the thing I would say again, I always hit that part home is like those needs or those things that you want, the admiration, adulation, respect, like affirmation, like those things aren't bad. Of course, like be driven, and if you want those things, that's fine. But it's like, how are you getting them? One, and are you dependent on those things in order to have value or whatever? Like, if someone doesn't affirm you, then are you less than? Or if someone affirms you, then that's your value. Like, you're dependent on that, and that's just in the same way that guys have issues with porn. Like, they're dependent and addicted to the feeling that porn gives them. So like, and that's not healthy. Like, if you have to have that, the admiration of women, if you have to have people looking at your beautiful car driving by, if you have to have people like fearing you when you walk into a room or whatever, if you need to have those things, then that's a pretty like unstable ground that you're putting your value into. Like, then that's a problem. It's not necessarily the admiration in the first place or wanting that. That's not the issue.
Right.
It's how you're going about it.
Yes.
And what do you do when you don't have it?
Right.
That's the issue.
So is there an issue then with the definition of a high value man? Like, if you were to kind of summarize it, the definition is high emotional intelligence, financial and physical security, and then having standards and boundaries. If those are okay, or would you add anything to that or change anything to those characteristics?
I think much like anything on social media, the high value thing itself, purely in a pure sense, isn't necessarily bad. I think where people have taken it is they take it to the alpha male level, or they emphasize the financial thing. Like, I think as men, I don't necessarily disagree with some of those things of like being a high value person. I think it's a hot button word that's means kind of negative now, but having standards, being emotionally aware, striving to be financially secure, for your family, whatever. Like, none of those things are wrong. It's just they just again took a left turn somewhere, and then it means that, but then everyone else is below.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. It's a weird one because it's like maybe the definition itself isn't terrible, but the way it's turned now, it's like off the rails.
Yeah. I don't agree with the three. I don't disagree with the three things that you read. I am confused. I'm baffled by one of them. So that first one, read it again. The first one,
the high emotional intelligence,
right? So most of most of the people who society deems as high value men do not have high emotional intelligence. So 100%. I'm kind of baffled that that's 100%. On the list.
100%. Yes.
Because I spend, and I'm sure you do too, a great deal of time trying to get men to be more emotionally intelligent. And some
like
of
all my days.
Yes. And some of the men that we have as clients consider themselves high value men, but they lack emotional intelligence, right? And so I'm just baffled that that's part of the definition. I love that it's part of the definition, but somebody's misinterpreting this somewhere. Because...
But let me just slide that under the rug, like money.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
They turn it somehow into not being emotionally intelligent, because how are you going to sleep with 3,000 women and be highly emotionally intelligent? Because there's no emotion involved in sleeping with 3,000 women. Right. You're
just shutting everything off.
Yeah, you have to shut it off to be able to do that. So I'm a little baffled by that inclusion.
Right.
I'm wondering if it's more like manipulation.
Yeah. That's what
Yeah.
That's the conclusion I came to inside my head.
Not like the psychological term for emotional intelligence or whatever. More like being able to make people do things you
I
want
can
them to do.
manipulate people to having sex with me
Right.
because I know
Cool.
their emotions and I know how to get to their emotions.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Right.
That,
I think
that
that's-
makes sense.
That's the only interpretation of that makes sense to me, of why that's included, is so then I can manipulate people into giving me money or giving me sex.
Interesting. They're definitely skewing the definition of emotional intelligence.
And using their powers for evil.
But it's not emotional intelligence of themselves, it's emotional intelligence of others.
Yeah.
I guess. That's weird. I guess I never thought about it that way. That's interesting. Huh.
So then you guys would say
So
high
I
emotional
definitely would say-
intelligence for self then
Yes.
Right.
versus towards
Right.
reading other people.
Reading others and using their emotions against them. Like, that's not emotional intelligence to me, at least. Oh, that's funny. Anyways, that's hilarious. I mean, again, I think it's like it all comes back to there's this need, and the reason why it blew up so much is like there's guys hurting out there.
Mhm.
Honestly, there's guys that feel out of place and guys that feel lost and guys that feel like what to do, and like, you know, and then you have people online that sell you this whatever, but like, you can do this, it's easy for you, and then of course people are going to gravitate towards that, you know. I've seen it in our clients of like porn issues. They like see this program online, or they see this like, a lot of them are legit programs, not saying they're crazy, but and then they invested in them, like, okay, there's this like course thing, or there's this group that I can go to, or there's this center that I can go for a week, and they spend a lot of money sometimes. Like, desperate people want solutions, you know, so I get it, I see it, but it's just scary a little bit, you know.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people suffering, right, with I don't feel good about my life, I don't feel good about myself. And so then somebody dangles this bright, shiny carrot in front of them and touts that as the solution to all their problems. And so people buy into that. It's not the only solution to your problem, right?
Nope.
And it may not even be any solution to your problem at all. Like, it might make your problem worse, right? Because if somebody is constantly saying, well, you have to be like this to be a high value man, and you're not like that, so then you're worthless. So it kind of plays into what you were already feeling. And so I think that it's touted as a miracle cure for what ails you. And I don't think that that's necessarily true for everybody. Right? That I don't think that striving to be mean and selfish is the ideal for everyone. I said that out loud.
Right, yeah. I mean, like, that's not as, yeah, you're not wrong. For sure, definitely. Cool. Well, you know, we'd love to hear from you, what your thoughts are, and if you disagree with us, or, I mean, we'd love to discuss it. I think it's, again, it's like it's wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like, there's the need that's out there, and hopefully we're helping with some of that. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Check out all our socials, Wet Dreams Podcast with a Z, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of that good stuff. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
The Wet Dreams Podcast and any content posted is intended for general information, educational, and entertainment purposes only. We are not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from the use of this podcast. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional, diagnosis, or treatment. Listeners should not disregard or delay in obtaining a medical advice for any medical or mental health condition they may have, and should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions.